My life felt like a movie, a total Netflix drama. But the title of this episode, it should have been Caught My Brother's Fiancé Cheating. Got shunned. Years later, proven right. They only contacted me for divorce testimony. I mean, seriously? You can't make this stuff up. It all started years ago, back when Mickey and I were just kids. We were never really close. You know, it was this weird sibling rivalry thing that our parents just let fester. I wanted to be a writer, and he was some kind of math and science genius. He was always the golden child, and I was the disappointment who dropped out of college. Our parents always held him up as the example, and honestly, it drove me insane. The constant comparisons, the lectures, it just created this deep-seated resentment in me. It's not like I wasn't good at anything. I was an incredible writer, or at least I thought so, and for a while, it felt like my one area where I could compete with him. But after I left school and started working as a freelance copywriter, barely making ends meet, while he was making bank, the comparisons got even worse. It was 2 weeks before their wedding, Mickey and his fiancé. Nah, we're having a dinner party at my parents' house. Everyone was there, our whole family, even my younger cousin Jacob. I was just trying to get through the night, keeping a polite smile plastered on my face. At some point, I snuck outside for a smoke. My parents didn't know I smoked, so I went a little ways from the house. That's when I saw Jacob's car. He'd said he was leaving earlier, so I was confused. Curiosity, it got the best of me. I walked closer, and that's when I saw them not in Jacob. Making out in his car, I was stunned. It was so weird, and I was just standing there, smoking my cigarette, thinking, what the actual fuck? I just turned around and walked back to the house without saying a word. I didn't even know what to do. Na came back inside a few minutes later, acting like nothing happened. And the whole night, nobody seemed to notice that we were all missing for a bit. I couldn't sleep that night. Na was messaging me nonstop, begging me to keep her secret. She swore it was a one-time thing, that she was totally devoted to Mickey, and that she'd never do it again. She begged me not to ruin her marriage. I just sat there, staring at my phone, trying to decide what to do. On one hand, I didn't even like my brother that much. On the other, he was my brother. The least I could do was be honest with him. The next day, I told him everything. He looked shocked, and honestly, a little hurt, but he just thanked me for my honesty and left. I thought that would be it, that he'd confront her and everything would be resolved. Boy, was I wrong? A few days later, I found out the entire family had blocked me. I tried calling, texting, even showing up at my parents' house, but they wouldn't even open the door. When I went to Mickey's, he basically laughed in my face and told me I was a terrible person for trying to ruin his life. He said I was a jealous liar, and that I had made the whole thing up. I was completely floored. A little later, my parents unblocked me just to send me this long, horrible message, calling me a repulsive liar and telling me they never wanted to speak to me again. And just like that, I was cut off. For the next 5 years, I was completely estranged from my family. They saw me as this bitter, jealous person who had tried to sabotage Mickey's marriage. It was rough at first. I was depressed and confused, but eventually, I moved on. I got better at my job. My copywriting business started to take off. And I realized how toxic my family had always been. I was actually happier without them. Then, out of the blue, they showed up at my house. My parents and Mickey. It was surreal. They needed me to testify in court on Mickey's behalf. Turns out, Mickey and Na's perfect little life had blown up in their faces. He found out she was still having an affair with Jacob. And to top it all off, their 1-year-old child wasn't even his. Mickey wanted me to testify that I had seen them together years ago to prove that Na's affair had been going on for much longer than she claimed, so he wouldn't have to pay child support. They had known I was telling the truth for months, but didn't even bother to contact me until they needed something. I just couldn't believe the audacity. I told them no, of course. They didn't take that well. They started calling me selfish and cold-hearted. They even tried to rationalize their behavior from 5 years ago, saying they had good reason to believe me. And honestly, for a second, I almost fell for it. They were right about one thing, though back then, I wasn't exactly polite. I had a tendency to snap at them whenever they compared me to Mickey. It's probably what made them believe Na's lies in the first place, but they still chose to believe a stranger over their own son, and they never apologized. I thought about what my friends had said, that this was my chance to make amends. But I just couldn't. I wasn't going to let them use me and then go back to ignoring me. This was the first time in 5 years they had reached out, and it was only because they needed something from me. So I refused. My friends eventually came around and told me they supported my decision. They saw how toxic my family was and how much happier I was without them. but they wouldn't give up. A few weeks later, my parents and Mickey showed up at my house again, ringing the doorbell like crazy people. I tried to pretend I wasn't home, but my dad started yelling outside, saying he knew I was there. Then he and Mickey started banging on the door so hard I thought they would break it. So I finally opened it. I was so mad. I told them I had nothing to say and that I was not going to help them. Mickey started begging, saying he really needed my help and that we were family. I just laughed. We've been anything but family for the past 5 years. I told them, you can't just act like we are when it's convenient for you. My parents lost it, but Mickey was able to calm them down. He started begging again, saying he would owe me forever, but after the way they had just behaved. I just couldn't bring myself to help him. I told them to leave and that I would call the police if they didn't. They finally left, and I hoped they would leave me alone for good. It's sad, though I feel for Mickey, but the damage is done. It's been 3 months since then. My parents have sent me a ton of emails, but still no apology. They just keep telling me I'm making a huge mistake, which is a waste of time since I'm not going to change my mind. But I did get an update. My cousin, who's still in contact with my parents, told me what happened. Mickey won't have to pay child support. Apparently, Na's baby daddy, Jacob, decided to step up and be a father. Na threatened to leave him if he didn't, so I guess he finally gave in. I heard they're planning on getting married once the divorce is final. I'm happy for Mickey. He's finally free of Na and my parents. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit bummed that they're both getting exactly what they want without my help. But I'm also kind of glad I didn't get involved. I just wish I could be there for Mickey. Maybe someday we'll be able to reconnect. But for now, I'm just focusing on my own life. The aftermath and my new normal. It's been a few more months now, and honestly, things have been so quiet, it's almost unsettling. After that last confrontation at my house, they finally got the message. No more frantic emails. No more banging on my door. Just silence. And it's a silence I've grown to love. My life has settled into this comfortable rhythm. I wake up, work on my copywriting projects, go to the gym, and spend my evenings with friends who actually care about me. It's funny. The people I chose 5 years ago to replace my family have become my real family. They're the ones who celebrated my successes and sat with me on the couch with a bottle of wine when I was feeling down. They're the ones who listened to me rant about my toxic family without judgment. My cousin still sends me updates every now and then. She's my inside source. My little spy in the family drama. She told me Na and Jacob are a thing now. Officially. They've moved in together. And Na is already talking about wedding plans. My cousin thinks it's all happening too fast. And honestly, I agree. But I also kind of love it. I mean, here's this woman who was willing to destroy my brother's life and lie to everyone. And now she's shackled herself to the guy she cheated with, all because she gave him an ultimatum. It's a classic case of karma. She got what she wanted, but she had to force it. A relationship built on ultimatums and deceit. That's not a marriage, that's a ticking time bomb. The unreconciliation. My cousin also told me a bit about Mickey. He's doing better. Apparently, he's relieved to be free from the mess with Na and the child support. He's moved into his own place and is just focusing on work and his own life. The thought of him finally being okay makes me feel a little less guilty about not helping. But my parents, they haven't changed. According to my cousin, they're still convinced I'm the one in the wrong. They're not apologizing for their behavior. They're just embarrassed that my false story turned out to be true. They don't see their part in this whole fiasco. They don't acknowledge that if they had just listened to me, none of this would have happened to Mickey. It's always about them and their image. They've even started a new narrative, telling people that they always suspected Na was a liar, but they just couldn't risk tearing the family apart. It's a total lie, but that's what they're telling everyone. Honestly, I don't know what it would take for them to apologize. Maybe they never will, and I'm okay with that. The closure I wanted isn't an apology from them. The closure is knowing that I don't need their approval or their presence in my life to be happy. I don't need to forgive them to move on. Their toxic behavior, the constant comparisons, the favoritism that was a part of their identity, and I was just a pawn in their game. I was a casualty of their constant need to pit me against Mickey. I used to think I was the problem, that I was too sensitive or too jealous. But now I know that was just gaslighting. They made me feel that way so they could control the narrative. The emotional toll in a new perspective. I won't lie. There are still moments when it all hits me. Like when I see a happy family on social media, or when a holiday comes around, I think about what it would be like to have a normal family, one that doesn't require me to put on a mask. But those moments pass quickly. Because then I remember the yelling, the insults, the way they looked at me like I was a burden. I don't want that in my life. I've worked too hard to build a life for myself that's full of peace and genuine love. I still have a little guilt sometimes. Though, I wonder if I could have handled things differently 5 years ago. Maybe if I had been more diplomatic, more strategic, but then I remember who they are. And I realize it probably wouldn't have made a difference. They had their minds made up, and nothing I said was going to change it. They wanted to believe Na because she was perfect on paper, the kind of woman they thought Mickey deserved. She was everything I wasn't, or at least that's what they believed. And now, they're the ones left with the consequences. I'm no longer bitter. I'm just liberated. I'm not waiting for an apology or for them to realize their mistake. I'm not hoping for a reunion. I'm just living my life, and it's a good one. I have a successful career, amazing friends, and a sense of self-worth that I never had when I was trying to please them. Maybe one day, Mickey and I will reconnect. But it won't be because I caved or because he finally saw the light. It will be because we've both grown enough to move past the damage our parents caused. For now, though, I'm just enjoying the silence. It's the most peaceful sound I've ever heard.